fairly and equally.
Thank you. Ms. Wise, your writings have been brought up by Senator Durbin. How long have you been a judge in California?
10 years.
10 years, okay. So in 2017, you were a sitting judge, is that correct?
That is correct.
You wrote an article for Time magazine entitled, "Gender Laws Are at Odds with Science." You said it's virtually impossible for judges to consistently apply a law that permits or prohibits conduct based on whether someone is a man or a woman. You also said the stringent adherence to a two-sex paradigm is inconsistent with science, incongruous with the historic and modern understanding of sex throughout many regions of the world. You said our biological variability means that a two-bathroom based on two-sex approach is inadequate, and that's before the judge ever gets to the issue of gender identity. Why did you write that article?
I wrote that article in response to a specific case that I had in front of me as a judge. And I wrote it to address a narrow but important issue, which is that there are a number... Do you
normally write articles about cases in front of you? Is that a standard thing that people in your business do? I mean, I've never heard of anybody doing that.
I think it is somewhat common for judges to write articles, including...
For a judge to write an article for Time magazine?
I think it is common for judges to publish, including law review articles and other forms of articles.
Okay. Well, what are you trying to tell us in this article?
I wanted to point out that there is an anomaly that occurs at birth with babies. It happens about 1 in every 2,000 children that are born have fairly serious chromosomal or abnormalities. That's about 5 babies born a day in the United States, and 1 in 20,000 have very serious chromosomal abnormalities that make it very difficult, if not impossible, for doctors at the moment of birth to be able to designate the sex as male or female.
Okay.
And that is the very specific and narrow issue I was addressing.
Thank you. What are you trying to tell us when you say that a two-bathroom based on two-sex approach is inadequate?
For me, because I had the parents of one of those babies come in to try to get a birth certificate changed after some additional scientific testing was done, and the parents were very concerned and wanted to be able to have the birth certificate comport with the best information the doctor could give them at the time, something that was deeply personal, I think, and private to those parents. I realized this was something I knew nothing about.
Were you writing as an advocate?
Absolutely not.
Sounds like it. You wrote an article in The Atlantic basically saying, I think it was The Atlantic, basically saying that the Trump appointees, judicial appointees, don't look like America. Did you write that while you were a sitting judge?
I did write that article while I was the sitting judge.
And you said President Trump's appointments reflects an unapologetic preference for the homogeneity of what many Americans hope was a bygone era. What were you trying to tell us?
I was trying to enforce in that article something that I think is deeply important to the judiciary.
Were you making a political statement?
Absolutely not.
Oh, come on.
I was not.
Wait a minute. You're criticizing the president's judicial picks is not looking like America, taking us to a bygone era, and you don't think that's a political statement?
I actually think that it is a
Why did you feel compelled to write that?
I believe that diversity of all forms, including racial...
I believe you're a zealous advocate who wants to be a judge and an advocate all at the same time. These articles are not just some poetry written when you're in grammar school. They show a desire for you to tell the world how you feel about issues before our country, and you ought to get into politics, not be promoted as a judge. Thank you.
Would you like to complete your answer to Senator Graham's question?
Thank you, Senator Durbin. I actually believe that diversity of all forms, racial diversity, gender, whether you've served in the military, in the past, where you live, socioeconomic issues, I actually believe that's a bipartisan issue. I think that I have heard members from this committee on both sides indicate that they value all of those things, and I think it's important that we have a diversity that reflects those things, not only because it makes for a more trusted judiciary. I think it reinforces the American dream. It's the way that I felt when Ronald Reagan appointed Sandra Day O'Connor in 1981.
Thank you. Senator Whitehouse.
Thanks very much, Chairman. Thanks to